Hello people. In this one, we're going to be recapping UFC 294, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski 2, with Kamaru Usman versus Chimaev as the co-main event. And we're going to be talking about the entire main card, all 5 of those fights. I believe there was a Russian in every one of them. They all won, except for Anka, but that was we'll talk about that fight a little bit later on. And that was a crazy... Doctor called it off for some reason. I wouldn't be able to tell you. Now, UFC 294. Do I think it lived up to the hype? I don't know, man. I think it would have been a better card if the fights didn't fall through. If we still had Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev, and if we had Charles versus Islam. But I think it turned out to be a pretty good card. Now let's move on and talk about the first fight on the main card. Said Nurmagomedov versus Gafarov. Now, Said Nurmagomedov has some nasty fast kicks, uses them really well to keep range against his opponents. And in this one, Gafarov, he just got too excited. He landed a little bit, I think it was a left hook he landed on Said, and for whatever reason, he just started to go guns blazing, got too excited, he overcommitted himself to a shot and found himself getting choked out. It was a beautiful guillotine, modified guillotine. He was using the rear naked choke grip in a front headlock rather than, the chin strap guillotine. And I like this guillotine more. It's definitely more powerful, very hard squeeze. It was just nasty stuff. Only needed a minute and 10 seconds to get it done, and nasty stuff. I want to see him against a ranked opponent next. Moving up on the card, Ikram Alisson versus Warlley Alves. Now this is exactly what was supposed to happen. Ikram comes in, drops him with a jab, puts him to one knee, comes in, nasty switch flying knee to follow it up, lands flush on the chin, you see he's hurt, and then just starts putting the pressure on with the hands, just ripping him to the head and the body. And Ikram's power is legit as fuck. He had him on Crip Street with a jab. That's legit. Next, he needs to have someone ranked, someone in the top, 15 to 10. I would even give him as far as 9 or 8 or something like that. But this guy's the real deal, man. I know it was short notice, but this was dominant. This was a really dominant performance. And I want to see where Ikram goes after this fight, Moving up to the most disappointing fight on the card in my eyes. The first UFC fight to ever be stopped by a language barrier. Fire whoever that doctor was. Walker seemed fine essentially right after the knee landed. Maybe he was stunned for a second because it did land pretty flush on the chin. And Anka, that was a stupid move to throw that knee. But I think he must have thought the back leg of Johnny Walker had come up. But we barely got to see anything. These guys didn't take a whole lot of damage. And I think they should just run it back ASAP. Run it back in 2 weeks. Run it back on 295. I don't know. Just definitely run it back. You got to see this happen. And I think Ankalaev was going to get the better of him. I don't know. I just liked the way he was moving. And yeah, but you can't say anyone was going to win this fight after what we saw. Yeah, the doctor comes in, starts asking Johnny Walker questions in English when he's Brazilian. I know he speaks pretty good English, but it's not his first language, And then the ref calls it off. Walker's still ready to fight. He starts pushing the ref. I got really afraid for that ref. Johnny Walker's 6'6", explosive, ready to fight right now. And he was not happy with that decision by the doctor. And as you can see in this little photo I got on screen, I don't think Dana was happy with him pushing the ref and getting like that. You can't be getting on like that. Shouldn't have been doing it. And but run it back. See who's the number 1 contender in the light heavyweight division. Or at least, after Jamal Hill. Moving up, Chimaev versus Usman. Now, this fight I've been seeing a lot of rounds that it's a bit of a controversial decision. A lot of people screaming robbery. I kind of agree. I kind of don't.
As we know,
Watching it live,
Hamzat will likely get a title shot,
but I think I scored it a draw.
Even though
I had the first
middleweight,
round
definitely
certainly
should
a
be
10-8
DDP.
Chimaev, and I gave
But,
the last
I think he should have
two
to fight
rounds
another,
to
like,
Usman. The last one,
top 10,
decisively,
top 5
and that
ranked
second
middleweight
round was a little
prove himself. You know,
a little questionable. Now
Usman
is a big
welterweight,
that up.
but
I
he's
haven't
not
rewatched
a middleweight.
the fight.
He
It may have
did
been
look
the second
kind of
round
small.
was
I wish
questionable.
his legs
the third round was
his
questionable.
lower
The
body
second
really
round
small, and I know
was definitely for
that's
Usman.
cobblestone,
But I think
cobblestone
knees or whatever. But
it was a. I think it was a 10.
But I mean, he barely beat a big welterweight.
For
I
Usman,
think he went
both
to a
of
draw with
the
the latter two
welterweight
rounds
here.
in
So,
10-8.
He
Definitely has to fight
round for
another,
Chimaev.
Legitimate
Chimaev's cardio
ranked
seemed
middleweight.
questionable. And
Now there was rumors, or not
and
even
after
rumors,
that,
I
I seen
seen
a
a clip
title
of him
shot,
being like,
but,
"I think I broke my hand."
this
but,
fight made me question if
apparently
he
broke his hand in the
if he's gonna
first round.
ragdoll
Some
Sean
people are
Strickland as
saying
much as I really
it
thought
was
he was
when
going to, you know?
when Usman
But-
slammed him.
That being said, let's move up.
But
to the,
he clearly just isn't as
the main
dominant
event
as
of
we
UFC
thought he was going
294.
to be. I mean, I think the Hamzat that we've seen in this fight and the Hamzat that we've seen in the Gilbert Burns matchup is what we're going to see out of Hamzat when he's against a high-level opponent who can strike and grapple and defend his takedowns, or transition him on the ground, stuff like that. Alexander Volkanovski, with all the odds against him, everyone doubting him, thinking he was going to lose, does exactly just that. Islam Makhachev dominantly shuts down Alexander Volkanovski, head kick KOing him inside of one round. I mean, Islam looked phenomenal in this, and Volk just looked off. And I mean, that's what you can expect on 11 days' notice. I mean, he looked hesitant, and he just didn't look himself. But Islam, out the gate, tried to wrestle a little bit. I think he said in the post-fight that he was just trying to, see how strong Volk was and see the intensity he was trying to put out. And they exchange a good couple of exchanges in the clinch. Islam getting the better of them, really digging in with the knees, and Islam started hitting just leg kicks and body kicks, just rip into the body, setting up the head kick that hit Volk right on the side of the head, just absolutely setting his table sideways and just sending him to the floor. Then Islam comes in, hammer fist, vicious ground and pound, just made Volk look like a fucking bobblehead on the ground, beating him up. And then the ref stepped in. Perfect stoppage. Volk was not defending himself. So the ref hauls him off for the first round. Head kick knockout finish for Islam. Now, I don't care about 11 days notice. It is Alexander Volkanovski. Islam puts him away badly. He deserves to be the pound-for-pound number one fighter in the world. He is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. I mean, he outstruck Alexander Volkanovski. I think you could debate that he's a better striker than Alexander Volkanovski right now. Better on the ground, better in the wrestling, better in the clinch. Good jiu-jitsu, good submissions. Pound for pound, skill for skill, I don't think there's anyone in the UFC better than Islam right now. I don't think anyone at lightweight besides Charles really poses a threat to Islam, and even that, I think Islam is going to stop Charles now after seeing this performance, It was just a really, really good performance, all things considered, Now, Volk said immediately post-fight that he wants to be back in January and he wants to take on Topuria. I just think he needs to slow down, Like Islam said in the post-fight that he was asked if he was Volk's coach, what would he tell him? And he said he agreed he needs to slow down. He just got a brutal head kick knockout. It split him open, put him out completely. He just needs to take, minimum 3 or 4 months. I wouldn't even be mad at 5 or 6 to just recover from this knockout. It's the first knockout of his career, and just train and just get back to the level he was on. Because I honestly think a knockout like this in a situation like this really does put you back a step, especially at Volk's age, being a featherweight, But I don't know, man. I just have a bad feeling if Volk comes back in January after this knockout against a knockout artist, an absolute killer like Ilia Topuria, I could see Topuria getting it done in similar fashion. Maybe not a head kick, but if Ilia just comes in, with a vicious 5 or 6 punch combination like we've seen Ilya do in the past. I could see him just chinning Volk, and I couldn't see that before this fight. You know, so I think if Volk didn't step up, he kept his chances a bit better against Ilya, but I really think he shot himself in the foot with this. I really do. But talking about Islam, you know, literally flawless performance. You know, was beating him in the clinch, couldn't get the takedown, but beating him up in the clinch, you know, good knees, beating his legs up, beating his body up, and then once he seen the opportunity, clips him with the head kick, and it was over. You know, it was immaculate performance, couldn't ask for any better. And you know, as an Islam Makhachev fan, he's my favorite fighter in the UFC. I was a kid on Christmas yesterday. I scared the hell out of my dogs and my friends because I was screaming when this happened. And I know I'm one of the only MMA fans seeing Volk bobbleheading that was cheering, but I was cheering real loud, y'all. But, I mean, run Islam versus Charles, 297, 298 in January or February. And I think Islam absolutely mogs Charles after seeing just how dominant he was against someone like Volkanovski, you know? So yeah, guys, that's where my head is at after UFC 294, Islam Volk 2. Let me know what you guys thought about this card in the comments. I thought the main card was really good, a lot of finishes. I mean, every fight was a finish that didn't get stopped by a dumbass doctor, you know? So, yeah, let me know in the comments which was your favorite fight, what was your favorite finish, and let me know what you want to see Islam and Volk do next. If you like all things MMA, make sure you subscribe to the channel, check out some of the other videos I've put out. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Now, go sleep.